So I talk about a lot of stupid stuff on this channel, but today why don't we look at something that's a little more high art. Ha ha ha, very funny. So I decided to take a look at Anomalisa, which is one of the movies nominated for Best Animated Movie at the Oscars this year, alongside Shaun the Sheep and Inside Out. Gee, I wonder which one's gonna win. The movie's based on a play written by Charlie Kaufman, who's a filmmaker known for movies like Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The movie's about a man who has a problem where he perceives every person he meets as the same person. Every man, woman, and child he encounters in this movie has the same face and the same male voice. It took me a while to realize what was going on with this movie. I actually thought the main character of this movie was supposed to be gay because one of the first scenes was him sitting on an airplane having a flashback of a woman he had a relationship with, and she was yelling at him, and again, it's the same face, same male voice that they were using for every other character in this movie, and I really thought he was having some kind of argument with a guy he had a relationship with who had just like long hippie hair. But everything changes when on his trip he meets a woman who didn't have that face and had her own speaking voice, and he falls in love with her. I'm pretty impressed with the fact that there are only 3 actors in this entire movie. The stop motion in this movie is really good too, because there's a lot of very impressive long shots where at the beginning of the movie when he's checking into his hotel, you see him walking to the elevator, getting in the elevator, getting out of the elevator, walking down the hallway, going into his room, going into the bathroom. It's all one long impressive shot. And the faces were very expressive, although there was a lot of obvious lines in the face where they changed out the model. But there weren't too many scenes where you'd notice it because they would hide it with some very creative lighting. I was questioning why this was in stop motion because this felt like it could have very easily just been a live action movie. And I heard even Charlie Kaufman was not too thrilled about it being animated. But as I was watching it, I kind of started to get it. A lot of Charlie Kaufman's movies have a lot of surreal imagery, and I always felt that that's where stop motion shines the most. And it was used for a lot of meta moments as well, because there was a scene in this movie where the main character was sort of losing his mind and falling apart, and I mean literally falling apart, because there's a scene where his face just falls off and he has to run back and get it and put it back on. This movie is very touching, but it's also kind of sad because the main character was supposed to give a speech on good customer service, and when he finally delivers the speech, you can tell that he does not even believe his own words. He can't heed his own advice, and you can tell something is deeply, deeply wrong with this character, and that's why he has this perception of other people just being the same face. Although there is a very bittersweet ending to this movie, but again, I'm not going to spoil anything. Do I recommend this movie? Yes, absolutely. It's definitely worth a watch. It's not for everyone. Certainly not for kids, especially since there is a sex scene in this movie. And I don't believe I've ever seen a sex scene in a stop-motion film before, so that's a first. Kind of look like some weirdo messing around with his action figures. I actually read that the sex scene in this movie took 6 months to film. Boy, how would you feel after 6 months of animating a sex scene? I guess the one issue I had with the movie was its length, because originally it was supposed to be a 40-minute short film, but the movie was an hour-and-a-half long, and there are a lot of long, you know, seemingly pointless scenes of him like walking out of the hotel room, going to get ice, going back, and I get why they did that. They wanted to make the movie feel very natural and very human, but at the same time I was like, okay, I get what you're doing, get to the point. But if you get the chance to, I'd say definitely check it out. But that's all I got for Anomalisa. If you happen to see this movie, let me know what you thought of it. My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.